Well, after only 4 months of ownership, our 2025 Ford F-150 Lightning flash trim has a second recall on it, and this will be its third service to the dealership. But this one is for an interesting recall as it concerns the ABS module and the braking system. So kind of important. And the way that they're fixing this is a little different than your typical dealer visit. Let's dive in, let's talk about the recall, and see how this visit goes. Alright everybody, welcome back. So Paul here with another episode of Tech Motoring Fix the Ford pickup truck, because it seems like since my 4 months of ownership with the F-150 Lightning, it has been serviced quite a few times already. But with that, I love the truck, I think it's fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to many years of ownership. Some of it may be in the shop, but not a problem. This recall that we are bringing it in for, and I say bringing it in for, but actually we don't have to bring it in because it's actually a software update, but it's not an over-the-air software update. It's a software update that they have to apply to the truck physically, but they're coming to my house to do it, which is kind of cool. So let's talk about that real quick. So we've just recently received the recall for the F-150, which states, and in case you're wondering, you can actually look this up yourself, it's the NHTSA 25V488, or the recall number 25S77, which is loss of brake boost. And basically what it is that it has some issues with the ABS system where it could potentially fail to stop the vehicle using this system. So basically, and you could read the whole thing. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. You can read it. I'll post something about it below or something in the description. But basically what it is a very interesting and very serious recall, in my opinion, is that this is something that needs to be done, and it needs to be done rather quickly because the way that they handled this so far has been really interesting. So I actually got a call just a few days ago, and right from the dealership, and they said, hey, we just wanted to call you and let you know that your vehicle has this recall about your ABS system. It's a software update, and we will come out to your house and apply the update for you. Now, I thought that was really nice, and I thought that was really cool. Now, this is not the first time I've actually had this service. We've actually had this service done once before with our Ford Mustang Mach-E. They actually came to the house, and they actually did the recall service, free of charge, obviously, and they just did it out to my house and did the recall for me. So that was really kind of nice. So tomorrow morning, it's the same thing. I don't have to drive to the dealer. I don't have to drop off the truck. I don't have to wait there for them to accomplish this task. It's just going to be done in my driveway while I basically work from home for the duration of this fix. And so that's kind of a nice part of this. So anyway, that is basically what I wanted to tell you is if you do have this recall, see if your dealership reaches out to you directly about it. And if not, reach out to them, see if they offer a mobile service. Anyway, tomorrow morning we're going to be getting the truck service, so I will see you then. And then we'll see how this process goes. But literally, it's just them plugging a laptop into my truck, upgrading the firmware of that ABS module, obviously, and then that's it. It is good to go. But let's see the process. Let's see if we notice anything different with the brake system. Because I'm not really a big fan of how this truck brakes during that radar cruise control where, you know, you're coming up in traffic and then it slows down and it goes a little bit and slows down. I'm not a huge fan of how that works. You can actually hear the brake module clicking real aggressively, actually, and the brakes hit pretty hard. And I'm wondering if it's going to tune that out a little bit or if it's just going to keep the exact same tuning that it's always been. But I am curious to see what this update does. I am going to ask the technician if there's any noticeable changes that we will see while we drive the truck with this update, and we'll kind of go from there. So we'll see you in the morning, and we'll see how this gets done. All right, well, good morning, everybody. Well, today is the day of our recall software fix to be implemented on our Ford F-150 Lightning just behind me here. So I just moved it up, got it plugged in for the service tech for when he gets here. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. Once again, I'm pretty sure they're just going to plug a laptop in, do a couple things, upgrade the software module or the ABS module software, and that's pretty much all there is to it. So I have the morning window is basically what they told me initially, and then yesterday they called me and said, hey, we are going to get you in at the 8:30, so they're going to be there first thing, so that's cool. And so I'm just going to be sitting home doing some work from home until they get here, get that done, and then I'll be off to work for the day. But in the meantime, we'll see how this goes, and we'll see if the truck drives any differently or functions any differently. All right, service was done pretty simple. So it's exactly how I thought. They basically just take a laptop. They have a scanning tool that goes in between the laptop and the vehicle through the OBD2 port. He plugged it in, pulls up all of his stuff. What was really cool is he was showing me all the modules on the truck that had updates available. But he says pretty much they don't update any of the modules unless there is a problem with that specific module. Like he was pointing the one that was like the window module for your windows. And he says that's something we don't touch unless there's an issue specifically with it. However, when he was doing this update for the ABS update, it actually prompted for him to do a couple other ones. So he actually did a couple other modules that he was able to update, or he was actually told to update by the system. So they actually updated a few modules in my truck. I couldn't quite get all of them, but I did see a couple of the modules that got updated, and they were basically just acronyms, so I don't even know what they really stand for. But yeah, so pretty much the module has been updated for the ABS. He says I should see no differences in driving. I should see no issues with pretty much anything at this point. If I do, I will, obviously add to this video. But in the meantime, I got to get to work. But let's take a look at the paperwork real quick and see what it says on there, because of course this affects more than just the F-150 or the F-150 Lightning. So let's take a look at the paperwork. All right, so just going to show you the stuff that you need to see here, which is obviously our 25S77 recall code here. And it says certain 2025 model year F-150 Expedition, Navigator, Bronco, Ranger, and 2026 model year Ranger loss of brake boost. So it's not only Ford, it's also some Lincoln products, which is obviously part of Ford. And yep, as you can see, they scheduled the mobile service for us. He confirmed everything was good. And yeah, so that was pretty much all there was to getting this fixed. Well, I wanted to close out this video with some thoughts on that recall. Of course, I'm standing in front of my Mach-E, which is not the part of this video. This was about the F-150 Lightning. And a couple things I wanted to just bring up here is that I did not notice any differences in my brake pedal feel, or even when using my ADAS, my lane centering with the automatic braking system with radar cruise control. None of that felt any different whatsoever after this update. So you're not going to get any difference in feel as far as the braking system goes. This is legitimately just to prevent a catastrophic, for lack of a better term, event where your brake booster will fail. And the tech was mentioning to me that he's had to do, actually himself, a few brake booster replacements on some Ford vehicles because of this defect, this issue they're having. And I'm thinking that the software update is supposed to prevent this, whatever this occurrence is that's causing this failure to actually happen to the brake booster, causing it to fail. So maybe, I don't know if it's pushing beyond the limits of what the brake booster is designed for. So keeping in mind that this is an electronic brake booster, maybe there was a defect in the way that they tuned this out of the factory. And obviously now they're coming across some failures. But once it fails, it sounds like it's a bigger deal, because then it kind of breaks the booster. At least that was kind of how I was interpreting the statements that he was making to me. Is pretty much once it goes, it goes. There is no software fix at that point. Maybe that's not quite true, but that's kind of the way that he alluded to it to me. On top of that, like I said, everything feels the same. It only took about 20 minutes for him to do the update on the truck. Very simple. He did some other updates in the process, which was kind of nice as well, I guess. He said that basically what happens is when you do the update, sometimes Ford will say, do this module update too while you're at it, and do this one, and it kind of just does them in order, in a line. And so I did actually get a couple other updates, module updates in the process there. I got my reminder, or I got my notice in the mail about a month ago, maybe about 3 weeks ago. So sometime in like the beginning to middle of, well, probably beginning of August, I think I got my reminder of this issue. I received a phone call within a few weeks, scheduled it within a few days, and they were out to fix the issue. And that was primarily due to the fact that it was a serious issue. Obviously, we don't want people losing their brake booster. You know, it'd basically be like pushing without power brakes. If anybody's familiar with how that feels, it's not a great experience trying to stop a vehicle without power brakes. But yeah, so the idea is to basically prevent this from ever occurring, which is why they did it this way as opposed to an over-the-air update, which by the time they get through the process of getting the over-the-air update built, sent out, verified, all that stuff, it could take weeks, months possibly. And in fact, I'm still waiting for one of the updates on the Mach-E that they basically don't have a timeline on. They're just like, we'll get to it when we get to it kind of thing. So I'm pretty sure that's what it was. It's just to try to stop people from having a major issue, which not only affects them from having to replace brake boosters, but also to prevent potential accidents from loss of brake booster. But that's pretty much my experience getting this done. I thought it was pretty good. And if you got a notice, great. Make sure you get this scheduled. Make sure you get it fixed immediately because you don't want to have that experience. But of course, if you did not get the notice for this, then in that case, your vehicle may not be eligible. It only affects so many vehicles. And in my case, mine just happened to be one of the F-150s that was built during that timeline that it was affected. Anyway, thanks again for watching. If this video helped you out, make sure you give it the thumbs up below. If you're new to the channel, this was kind of a boring video, but we do a lot of other F-150 Lightning content on here, so make sure you subscribe to the channel for that content, and we'll have plenty more coming out soon. Thanks again for watching, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. Remember, welcome to the future. Welcome to Tech Motoring. We'll see you soon.